Fahari was thinking what to do next, when she noticed that a sentinel nearby was looking at the passers-by, as if searching for someone who could lend a helping hand. Fahari approached, always willing to help those in need.
You look able, and perhaps willing to help.
Yes, Sentinel. I noticed you are looking for someone. How can I help?
Auberdine has finally fallen.
Auberdine? I heard stories from the travels. That is so sad.
Though many of its inhabitants departed long ago when the city first suffered the brunt of the Cataclysm, many of the more stubborn residents are yet unaccounted for. And it now appears that the city may have been overrun by water elementals.
Water elementals? That is terrible.
My sisters need help rescuing the survivors. Please, druid, use the western tree to reach Theron, then speak to Vespristus to secure a flight to lor'danel.
I am on my way.
Be swift.
Fahari nodded and then started for Theron. She had noticed the western tree during her travels to Darnassus before, but never journeyed through the tree portal. She left the temple and walked straight to it. As she stepped out the other side, the scenery shifted. She was now at the base of the great tree, near the sea. Far in the distance lay the land of lor'danel. Though not clearly visible, its presence could still be felt. She approached Vespristus to arrange a flight. As she flew over the sea, the landscape began to change. It was not as lush as Teldrassil. The forest below looked dull except for the settlement near the dock, which still held a hint of life. Right at the dock, she noticed Dentaria, the priestess she had met back in Shadowglen. Dentaria was attending to some wounded. Fahari approached without hesitation.
Did the Sentinel send you? Thank Elune. We need everyone we can get.
Yes, priestess, how may I help you?
It's too late for Laird, he didn't make it in time.
That is so saddening.
The last wave of night elves from Auberdine attempted to escape a couple of hours ago. They stayed in their old home, clinging to the hope that it could be salvaged. But it seems they were finally forced out.
It is very hard to leave behind everything that they called their home.
I fear many of them won't make it, like Laird did not.
Is there any way we can save them?
Quickly, go down the coast to the west and find any survivors that you can. We're sending sentinels and hippogriffs down. But every moment counts. We need to know which ones might make it.
I am on my way, Dentaria.
Go in peace.
Fahari was happy to see Dentaria, however. She was also sad to hear the fate of those elves. She did not waste any time and ran toward the west coastal line. As she was about to step onto a bridge, she spotted a ranger talking to some sentinels. She paused, wondering if they needed any help.
Ranger, do you need any help?
Some of the survivors of the last Auberdine attack are still trying to make it up the coast to safety. We only caught word that they were coming within the last hour. I wish that we had more warning.
Understood, Ranger. What is your plan?
The coastline west of us is swarming with vile spray, vicious little water elementals. We need to clear them out if any of the survivors are to have a chance of making it to lor'danel. Depart immediately and kill every elemental you see.
Absolutely. I am on my way.
While talking to the ranger, she noticed a large water elemental locked in combat with the sentinels. Without wasting a moment, she joined the fight. The elemental was not easy to defeat. Even with several sentinels and Fahari battling it together, it held its ground fiercely. After subduing the creature, she moved along the shore, searching for any survivors and subduing the elementals that crossed her path. She spotted Volcor lying still. He seemed to be dead. A wave of sadness washed over Fahari as she began to turn away, when suddenly she felt a grip on her ankle. A hand reached out. Just then, a sentinel arrived. She was relieved to see Volcor alive, but her face darkened when she didn't find Grimclaw. She asked about him, then quickly said she would think about that later. First, she needed to get Volcor to safety. The sentinel thanked Fahari and hurried away with him. Fahari moved on to find others. Nearby, she found Delmon's body. A sentinel sat beside him, silent and still. She seemed to be feeling the same sorrow that Fahari felt. Looking around, Fahari searched for more. And sure enough, on an elevated patch of land, she spotted another body. It was Gershala. A sentinel came running. It seemed Dentaria knew this person. The sentinel thanked Fahari and quickly ran back. Fahari continued her search for others. As she reached the shore, she thought she heard something. It might have come from the grasses nearby, though it was hard to tell with all the sound from the sea. She began searching. And there he was, a person lying in the grass. He could definitely be saved. A sentinel arrived shortly after and quickly gave Fahari a hand. As Fahari moved along the shore, she found many fallen elves. Heaviness settled over her. So many lives had been lost. She searched for anyone who might still be saved. And then she saw another elf just a few feet into the sea. It was Sheldon, one of the survivors from the last wave. A sentinel appeared and expressed her gratitude to Fahari. She assured her that Sheldon would be taken care of. She had finished searching all the first wave survivors. On her way back, she dispatched as many water elementals as she could. Returning to the settlement, the first person she saw was Ranger Glynda.
Your efforts are very much appreciated. Since the Cataclysm, the elementals have been out of control.
I have definitely noticed the unusual activity.
We have little hope of taking back Auberdine without extinguishing their presence first.
Finishing her conversation, she ran to Dentaria.
Thank you, druid. Some of them surely would not have made it without you.
I just did my job, priestess.
We'll be taking the wounded to the main building, once we have them all safely back in town.
That sounds like a good plan.
Perhaps you can meet us there later.
I will do, Dentaria.
It is good to see you. You were key in ensuring that our loved ones made it home. And I hold some hope that you may yet help us further.
Any way I can, Serendia.
Like Laird, their wounds will be grave, every one of them battered by the coast and assaulted by the elements. I am doing what I can, but it seems that those elementals hosted a toxin that is weakening their abilities to heal.
A toxin? Now that makes more sense. This is the reason they were appearing like dead.
I believe I can concoct a salve, but I will need secretion from the muscles of the clams that inhabit this coast. Can you help me?
Absolutely.
Fahari ran out to the sea. She stood at the edge for a few seconds, thinking. Then leapt in. The clams were everywhere. They were not hard to find. She quickly gathered the ones she needed and rushed back to Serendia.
This will do perfectly. Thank you so much.
Glad I could help.
I suspect they will want to thank you personally, should they recover. So perhaps you can stop by later on.
Gladly.
Finishing her conversation, she walked over to the innkeeper. It was clear she would be staying in the area for a while. After a brief exchange, she stepped out of the inn. Her thoughts were with the survivors. She stood silently, lost in thought, gazing at the moonwell. Her senses returned when she heard a gnome talking to another elf not far from where she was standing. Curious, she stepped closer. The gnome was Wizbang Cranktoggle.
I'm helping Thormarium here try to unravel what's been corrupting the wildlife in the area.
Corruption of the wildlife?
I've set up some machines in the field that can analyze animal parts and possible corruption agents. If you can get me some good samples, we can get to the bottom of this affliction quickly.
Okay. What I need to do?
The first machine is BuzzBox 413. I set it up on the beach just east of town. I'll need you to gather some flesh from the nearby corrupted tide crawlers and bring it to the machine so that I can analyze it.
How many we will need? I have killed enough creatures in Teldrassil to handle the corruption there.
4. 4 should be good enough.
Fahari nodded and ran to the eastern side of the coast. She had seen many crawlers along the shore, but she made sure to avoid the water elemental-infested west. Her curiosity about the corruption grew. She had faced enough of it in Teldrassil, but she hadn't imagined it had spread this far. As she reached the far side of the shore, she spotted the buzzbox. She also noticed a portal created by two mages, a gateway to Belameth, the new capital city of the Night Elves. She thought to herself that someday she would visit that place. Then she turned her focus to the crawlers. After collecting all the crawler meat, she approached the buzzbox. The machine crackled loudly, and then Wizbang's static-ridden voice became audible.
Lovely. Sad. I hope you didn't kill too many of them.
I tried to limit their demise.
We're not trying to wipe out the population. We just need to get to the source of this corruption quickly.
I understand.
I am proceeding with the analysis now.
Okay, sounds good.
Interesting. The source of this corruption definitely came from something external. No surprises there, but it appears that in this case they've been eating something foul.
Assuring it is not generated inland. But did you say they were eating something foul?
A large mammal, probably. Most likely a bear.
A bear. A bear is much larger than the crawlers, and I did not know of any crawlers hunting large animals.
Search the beach for a bear carcass for me.
Sure, but this is a large area.
Slightly east of there would make the most sense, on the inland side of the beach.
Okay,
Bring me the sample back at town.
will do.
After covering a few yards, she realized the crawler concentration was higher back near the buzzbox and the portal. If there was something to find, it had to be there. She moved to the junction between the beach and the land and began searching. And right there, a crawler was feasting on a dead bear carcass. She didn't wait. She collected the sample and ran straight back to the settlement.
Welcome back. Did you find the bear sample that I was looking for?
Yes, right here.
This definitely looks like the stuff they were eating. Let me take a closer peek. There are a couple other forms of wildlife that we verified infect. It's actually good news that the crabs appear to have caught this from the bears. Hopefully that means this all stems from one source. We need to focus our attention on those bears now.
Okay, let's do that. What plan do you have?
Buzzbox 723 is near the waterfalls to the east. It's going to be messy work, but it's necessary. I'll need you to bring some fresh bear guts to the buzzbox for analysis.
Bear guts. A rotting bear was not enough.
We'll go from there once I have the information.
Fahari nodded. Crossing the wooden bridge, she reached a stone-paved road. It was a T-junction. She needed to go west, which meant taking the left path. She paused for a moment to admire the ancient protector standing nearby. Its woody purple color gave off a different kind of vibe. Crossing another bridge and passing a few sentinels, she reached an elevated ground. The bears were right there, aggressive and restless. She began collecting the guts. The bears' bodies were so rotten that finding proper samples was difficult. The task was deeply unpleasant. What saddened her even more was the presence of cubs. That was something Fahari hadn't expected. And worse, the infection was spreading. The bears were constantly being reinfected. Were the rats the source? They were definitely killing the rats. After collecting all the bear guts, she found Buzzbox 723. The machine hummed at her expectantly. A burst of static came first, followed by Wizbang's distorted voice.
The results are coming in now. some information on how the bears contracted this in just a moment.
Fahari waited for a few moments. The machine crackled with static and spewed out some unintelligible speech before Wizbang's voice became clear again.
Duskrats. They've been eating the duskrats.
That is what I saw. They are feasting on the rats. But where are the rats coming from?
Those little buggers only come from one place. A cave against the cliff face to the east. Find a path up to the northeast and look for an opening under the waterfall.
Okay, will do, but how are the rats getting this?
The duskrats there are either getting into something nasty, or someone's intentionally spreading some agent through them.
Intentionally.
In either case, just bring me back several samples of the stuff.
Will do, Wizbang.
As Wizbang had said, the cave should be up in the mountain. She followed the path, and after finding the trail, realized that there were many bears between the buzzbox and the mountain trail. Quickly, she shifted into her cat form and prowled through the area. She didn't want to kill any more animals unless she had to. She wandered around the area for a while, trying to find where the path to the cave began. The land was broken and scarred from the Cataclysm's impact. Burnt trees stood like twisted shadows of what once was. To her surprise, she saw undead and trolls roaming the area. What were those creatures doing in Darkshore? Were they excavating the land? She decided to find out more about the trolls and undead later. Right now, her priority was locating the entrance to the cave. She began climbing the hill, but it only led her deeper into a troll encampment. Thankfully, she was in her prowling form and went unnoticed. Though she avoided a fight, she was now confused. Where was the path? She reached the edge of the hill and looked down into the valley. She had come from the west, so the path had to be somewhere nearby. Tracing her route for a few moments, she spotted a burning torch just below the hill where she stood. That was it. That had to be the path. But the torch, it had been placed there. Did someone else go into the cave? She spotted cages. Cages. Where had they come from? Climbing forward, she moved closer to the cave and saw Tharnarium, the night elf Wizbang had been speaking with. She stopped, curious.
I rushed here as soon as I heard the news from Wizbang. I know who's behind this mess now.
Who?
Zenn Foulhoof.
Zenn Foulhoof? That satyr from Teldrassil? That monster made me kill innocent animals.
He came over from Teldrassil after he was chased out for performing perverse magics.
Did he now?
The kinds of corruption he employs are not welcome among my people, and it seems he's taken it a step further this time.
But why?
Perhaps as some form of revenge.
This cannot continue.
Zenn's been given too many chances. It's time we remove this threat to all that is natural.
Agreed.
Inside the cave, she noticed animals trapped in cages. Some sort of master key was needed to open them. The place was crawling with satyrs. One of them was likely carrying the key. Sure enough, one of them had it. The cave wound deeper as she pushed through. At the bottom, she saw more cages and several of Zenn's minions. She paused. If there were this many minions, then Zenn might be nearby. Was he inside that tunnel straight ahead? She ventured forward. The tunnel ended sooner than expected. Then where was this foul creature? As she wandered, she noticed a path leading upward to a stage-like area. She decided to check it out. Sure enough, he was there. Fahari engaged. After subduing the foul creature, she began to make her way back. As she reached the open area, she stopped. She noticed another tunnel leading in the opposite direction. Curious, she shifted into her cat form and prowled ahead. The tunnel led to another chamber. In the center was a puddle of water, likely from a natural source. The area was swarming with satyrs and grells. Inside, she spotted a table with alchemy instruments. Some sort of experiment was actively in progress. Near the table, was that an undead? An undead performing experiments deep inside this cave. She prowled closer to observe what the creature was doing, her suspicions rising. It was concocting something and testing it on a caged bear. She realized she couldn't get close to the table without first dealing with the Forsaken. The table was a crude, hastily assembled apothecary's workbench, cluttered with heaped scrawled notes and noxious brews. It seemed the Forsaken had also been studying Foulhoof's handiwork. Fahari grabbed the most important-looking notes and prepared to smash the laboratory. After destroying the laboratory, she prowled out of the cave. There was no time to engage any enemies. She had to rush back to lor'danel. At the settlement, the first person she spoke to was Tharnarium.
It is done then.
Yes, it is done.
Thank you. I only hope that the wildlife here will see more peace with his passing.
Then Fahari handed over the notes.
What is this? You found something else in the cave?
Deep inside the cave, I found an apothecary table, a crude one, and a Forsaken performing some experiment. These are his notes, or most important notes, as far as I understood.
So the Forsaken have been studying Foulhoof's work. My gut crawls at the thought of what they might have done were they able to weaponize his corruption.
That is exactly my thought.
You've done well to destroy their work, but this raises deeper concerns. What brought the Forsaken to our doorstep? Are they working with the Shatterspear trolls to our north?
Perhaps. There are Forsaken roaming around that place quite tightly with the trolls.
Sorrows are heaping upon sorrows, druid. I'm glad you're here.
Then Fahari quickly shared the news of freeing the animals from the cages. Tharnarium was pleased and expressed hope that, with some effort, a cure could be found. Then Fahari turned to Wizbang. Perhaps he could devise something from the ichor she collected in the cave.
Did you get to the stuff? The sooner I can start working on a cure, the more animals we can save.
Here it is.
This should be plenty. Thanks so much. I'll get working on a cure for this nastiness immediately.
Fahari relaxed a bit. One part of the puzzle was solved. She walked to the moonwell and sat for a while. The faint shadow of Teldrassil was visible from there. She tried to take some comfort from the soft glow of the moonwell. Reflecting on the day she had managed to take care of the foul creature, yet more mystery had unfolded. She waited for the next day to begin, ready for whatever task awaited her in service of the kin of this land.